The arrival of the Combine Empire brought chaos and horror to the human population as they were introduced to many, many terrifying species from across the multiverse. Within the vast timeline of the Half-Life series, each of these species also had their own backstory, lore, and motives well before and after their encounter with the Combine. One of these species had a mysterious past, and as a result of their experience with the Combine, had changed drastically by the time humanity came across them. A species dominated by a far superior force and used in their nefarious efforts to conquer the universe. A race that, even before their encounter with the population of Earth, had appeared in human media as one of the many interpretations of what an encounter with alien life could look like in War of the Worlds. Where did these creatures come from? Just how dangerous were they? And what role did the Combine give them in their army and workforce? Here, we explore what we know behind the lore and story of the Strider in Half-Life. Way before the Combine subjected humanity to their cruel treatment, they discovered many other planets out there in the infinite multiverse, each home to their own life. One of these planets was the home of a species we now know as the Strider. Not a lot is known about them in their natural state, how they lived, how they communicated, or how sentient they were. What we do know, however, is that they were completely different to the creatures that arrived as a part of a combined army on planet Earth in the early 2000s. Similar to that of an arthropod-like creature, the Striders had a strong exoskeleton, perfect to protect them from incoming fire. Their 3 long legs allowed them to not only navigate the land around them quickly with ease, but they also gave them the flexibility to drop low to scout out areas close to the ground and avoid damage if someone or something were to attack them. The mass of their body was shown to house their vital organs, a yellow-like blood substance, and most importantly, their brain. The Combine Empire sought to conquer and control all sentient life, and to do this, they jumped from universe to universe, ready to strike. The information surrounding their discovery of the homeworld of the Strider is still extremely limited. What is known is that the Combine scanned this species in their natural environment with a plan to use these scans to create something new. As for the fate of the population of this planet after they had been scanned, it is unknown. The Strider appear to have been one of the earliest additions to the Combine Empire, and as the Strider became one of the most prominent war machines in the many conflicts to come, it could be likely that up to this point, the Combine chose to scan instead of attack. Regardless of whether the Combine Empire did wipe out the original Strider species or not after the scan, they got to work. The Combine Empire needed a strong army and workforce to complete their goal, and with the scans of a new species, the Universal Union constructed their own synthetic copies. 2 very distinct versions bred into subservience, with alterations to help them in the tasks supplied to them. A machine of war and a machine of maintenance. The Combine needed a unit in their army that could take heavy damage and also return it. The Striders designed for war were given a tan color to distinguish them from other variations. In their development, these war machines had rapid-firing pulse cannons mounted into their carapace, connected to their vision. This was the perfect way for them to observe their surroundings and fire instantly and accurately on sight. Their height only enhanced their effectiveness in combat. They soared high over buildings and ducked low to reach the ground. For those who attempted to hide behind objects or structures, the Striders had two options to take them out. The first was to use barbed spikes at the base of their legs to claw at vulnerable structures, and the second was to use their warp cannon, a deadly weapon installed just under their base. When charged, it sent out a violent wave of energy and bent light around it. The Striders were tall and often missed some of their enemies around them. The Combine were aware of this, and after their invasion of Earth, they discovered a solution. The Combine shield scanners were often sent out with Striders, and as the Striders explored a region, the scanner flew through those hard-to-reach areas and reported back to the Strider of a new target and its location. This made it incredibly hard for anyone to escape a Strider attack. This variation of the Strider had been designed for war, and in a mural created by a Vortigaunt, Gary, he showed the invasion of his planet. In this mural, the Striders were shown to be one of the main forces used by the Combine, along with dropships and another unidentified humanoid species. The Vortigaunt did their best to fight off this invasion, but the overwhelming power of the Striders was just too much. The few survivors of the invasion of the Vortigaunt homeworld did manage to flee to a border world and later found themselves on Earth just before the Combine discovered it. And here, they met the Striders again as they were essential in the fall of all of Earth's armies in a mere 7 hours. The use of the Strider in the assault of the Vortigaunt homeworld once again suggests that the Strider were one of the earliest species adapted into the Combine army. The Strider themselves were the perfect war machine on the planets that the Combine attempted to conquer. They were large and clunky, they were however lightweight, and their legs folded perfectly. As a result, they were attached to the base of a Combine dropship, carried into the front line, and dropped there. The Combine Strider were synthetic creatures, bred to be subservient to the Combine. They were shown to be fairly intelligent when it came to making quick decisions. Despite their intelligence, just like the Stalker, another nightmare creation of the Universal Union, the Striders could be turned on or off when needed. When activated, they growled, howled, and cried out when they were injured, yet their allegiance was to their masters. As the years went on, they continued to fight for the Combine without question. Approximately 15 years after the invasion of planet Earth, the Combine had adapted the planet for their needs. Of note, they had drained the oceans and, most importantly, set up secure settlements across the planet to house humanity. The Combine, of course, had many incredible technologies that had allowed them to do this, and to construct and help these settlements function, they made use of another variation of the Strider, the maintenance machines. These Striders were designed to aid the workers that used them, noticeably physically different with a white shell casing. A platform was installed above the base of the Strider for the controller to essentially drive and maneuver them. Working at these heights was dangerous for the creature, the worker, and whatever was below them, and to fix any potential issue, enhancements were installed into the legs of the Strider in order to keep the platform above level. Without the need for a pulse cannon, a robotic eye was installed instead and used to enhance the vision of the creature so that they could clearly see where they were going. Without the need for a warp cannon, a connector was installed into the base of their body. This offered the workers that used them the ability to connect heavier materials to the creature to move them. One example shown was during the construction of City 17 and the Citadel. These Striders were noted to carry heavy wires to a generator while being operated by another Combine unit. Overall, after this species had been scanned by the Combine, their synthetic copies had been crafted for two completely opposite functions, one for creation and one for destruction. Approximately 20 years after the Combine's invasion of planet Earth, the resistance of humanity finally had enough strength and belief that they could fight back. The Uprising of City-17 forced the Combine to push the production of all of its units across the wasteland. As the streets filled with the bodies of both Resistance and Combine units, Striders were deployed in waves by dropship from the Citadel. The Resistance feared the Combine Strider, and they quickly learned that the weakest spot of the creature was its head. To take them down before their pulse or warp cannons could take them out, RPGs were deployed to the humans that could use them. The Striders were smart and did their best to avoid these missiles, yet the Resistance were determined to take back their planet, and one by one, many of the Striders fell. As this conflict escalated, the Citadel in City-17 fell after its core overloaded. This wiped out everything within miles of the city. This also removed the Combine's connection to planet Earth. The energy from this explosion, however, began the formation of a super portal that would reconnect them. The Combine just had to wait for it to fully form. The Citadel had fallen, and this was a huge win for the Resistance. The Combine forces on Earth were aware that they had lost their first wave of this war, and after they discovered the existence of White Forest, a secret Resistance base in the Outlands, they sent their units to take it down. On their way there, Striders marched with other Combine units and protected the weakest of their group. Within White Forest, the scientists there worked on a rocket that they planned to launch to close the forming super portal. They just needed enough time to complete it. On their way to White Forest, Resistance members Dr. Gordon Freeman and Alyx Vance encountered what appeared to be at first a dead Strider. That was until they moved closer to it and accidentally woke it up. Gordon and Alyx were skilled in combat, yet a close encounter with a Strider without heavy weaponry would have been a deadly confrontation. To their luck, they watched as Dog leapt from a surface above and fought with the creature. In this battle of the Titans, the Strider attempted to take out the robot, but Dog was much faster and smarter. At the height of this battle, he climbed his way up to the head of the Strider, ripped open its protective plates and pulled out its brain. As the Combine units moved closer to White Forest, they were told of their orders. The Resistance would attempt to launch a rocket. All they had to do was stop this launch. Among the Striders were hunters, stealthy, deadly creatures skilled in combat. Interestingly enough, these hunters strongly resembled the Strider, just on a smaller scale. It could be highly likely that the hunters also came from the same planet as the Strider, or that the Combine used their scans of what the Strider originally were and adapted them into a smaller, more aggressive variation. Also of note, the entity name of the hunter in episode 1 was NPC Mini Strider. It was however named NPC Hunter in episode 2 and later NPC Furniture in a 2010 update for episode 1. The fact that it was named Mini Strider was either an easy way to describe the creature or a great suggestion of where it came from. I choose to believe that is where it came from. Within White Forest, the team here were aware that the Combine would not let them launch the rocket without a fight. Striders were their strongest force, and Dr. Arnie Magnuson, the leader of this base, had a solution to take them down. Dubbed the Magnuson device or Strider Buster, this bomb was very simple to use. All the user had to do was launch it at a Strider, and once stuck to the central structure of the creature, one shot from a gun would blow it up and with it destroy the Strider. Magnuson was proud of this device, and as Striders and Hunters breached the perimeter of White Forest, he asked Dr. Gordon Freeman to use them to destroy the Striders and give the Resistance enough time to finish the rocket. As the Battle of White Forest commenced, Gordon fought alongside Resistance soldiers as Striders and Hunters marched towards the silo of the rocket. The Striders had once been incredible war machines that had conquered worlds, destroyed many Resistance bases, and killed their members. Yet, with the Strider Buster, Gordon took them out with ease, one by one. This additional time allowed the team inside to finish off their work on the rocket. As the battle came to an end and the threat of Striders, Hunters, and the various other Combine units faded, Gordon entered White Forest and watched with the rest of the Resistance as the rocket launched and stopped the formation of the Super Portal. As for what remained of the Striders, they waited for the next orders from the Combine units that remained on Earth, cut off from the Combine homeworld. The Strider is a creature still shrouded in mystery, and we still have questions. What became of the species that became the Strider? Were they decimated after they were scanned or left to roam in their natural environment? This has never been confirmed. The Strider was shown to be fairly intelligent and sentient. After the Combine lost their access to Earth, it could be possible that without a strong, dominating force to control them, they may have begun to think for themselves and joined the Resistance, just like the Vortigaunt did. That may just be me being hopeful. As of now, this is where the story of Half-Life and the Strider ends. As with most of the creatures we encounter in the Half-Life series, there is always much more to them behind the scenes. Valve go through multiple stages of development and vigorous playtesting before the locations, stories, and creatures are given their permanent spot in the game. The Striders were no exception. Thanks to the Valve Bible, Half-Life 2 Raising the Bar, we have some information about our favourite three-legged giants. From the concept art, we can see that the Striders went through several iterations. Bill Fletcher's quote in the book does also help explain what they were going for. As animation reference for the Strider, I used a giraffe-gorilla combo. I wanted him to capture the gracefulness of a giraffe, but also have the Strider stomp and lead with his elbows like a gorilla when he walks to convey a simian power. We can see exactly what he means from this first image. The neck is tall, graceful, and very giraffe-like, while at the bottom, its legs are similar to an ape's hands. I really like this art, and if I'm being honest, I do think I prefer this to the retail version. I can imagine this before the Combine adaptations, just wandering fields or something similar on their own planet. Here we have some head shapes and body types. From the perspective of Valve, it must be so difficult to settle on just one type. I like what we received, I however did prefer the creatures from the first image. Finally, the Battle of White Forest was one of the most significant moments in the game. John Guthrie, a level designer that worked on episode 2, stated that it took many months to create, test, and fine-tune this sequence. Playtesting showed that every player approached this battle differently. They saw individuals adopt completely different approaches to defeating the Striders. Some threw logs at Hunters, others relied on their rebel companions to kill them. Some players never sprinted, while others never used the car. They tried to keep supporting all the different strategies that occurred to players. The sequence was iconic and memorable. It took months to complete, and in my opinion, it was completely worth it. The Striders were, and still are, an extremely iconic part of the Half-Life series, and I cannot believe it has taken me so long to cover them properly. I hated missing posting a video last week. I did have a Strider video ready to post, but after I watched it through, it came out as rushed, and it was. I have posted the original version on Patreon and YouTube memberships, so hopefully they can see the difference in quality. I started this channel because I wanted to cover the lore and stories in my favourite games, and quality will always come first. I won't post something I'm not happy with. Now that I have had a week to finish moving into my new home, I have had the time to work on new content. This was the first, and I hope you liked it. Now, if you are a Half-Life fan, you are sure to be a fan of alien invasion stories. With that, when you think of a Strider-like creature, you will very likely also think of the tripods from War of the Worlds. I am sure from the early concept art stages that the Striders were at least influenced by them. It is a shame we do not have much more information on the species. I feel like we are missing out. I liked the brief backstory of the Vortigaunt, and I do wish we had something similar for the Strider. That was everything I wanted to say really. We are entering the final stages of the year, and I have so many videos planned that I am excited to share. I am planning 2 timelines that I am sure you will enjoy. This was the lore and story behind the Striders in the Half-Life series. If you enjoyed this, then please leave a like, drop a comment below, and even share it with another Half-Life fan. If you disagreed or generally disliked this, then also let me know in the comments and leave a dislike. I appreciate you watching the video regardless of how you felt about it. Subscribe for more content like this too. As usual, I would like to thank my amazing gold tier patrons and channel members who got access to this video a little bit early. The best Resistance members you could ask for: Jonas, Lewis, Queen Arby, Fluffy the Dragon, Chicken Guy 791, Ruben Mendoza, Duke, Toadnut, Oren X, Azu, Karatana, AJ, Verona, Comfy, BG Games, Arnis, and Apravis. Now, what did you think of this lore? Did you feel sorry for the Strider species? And what would you like to see next? This is where our story ends. Check back next week for a new one.